Good morning, afternoon, or evening, ladies and gentlemen, Allincrypto here, and welcome back, guys, for what is going to be nothing short of another jam-packed daily cryptocurrency market update. And I'm sure many of you are noticing that we are not in our usual location. I'm currently in the beautiful and right now sunny North Wales on a little bit of business, but we will be back next week. Despite being away on business, we are committed to keeping you guys up to date with the latest and greatest things happening within the cryptocurrency market, and that's exactly what this daily market update is hopefully going to be doing. We are going to be starting things off with a report from CoinShares, as we like to do every single Monday. Now, what is CoinShares' report? It's essentially a report where they look at inflows in regards to ETPs, exchange-traded products, so whether that be spot ETFs, which you now have a Bitcoin, or exchange-traded products that currently trade around the world on various different stock exchanges as they relate to the cryptocurrency space. And there's been a continued theme with ETPs, exchange-traded products, that are essentially indexes for altcoins. And we've been looking at a basket of altcoin ETPs that make us very bullish on the cryptocurrency space. And I do think Altseason is upon us. I do think it's here. I think we're waiting for BTC DOM to roll. I think Sol BTC gives me confidence that it's coming. I think ETH BTC, ETH DOM, there is going to be an unlocking of capital with altcoin ETFs. They are coming. Many people said an Ethereum ETF was never going to happen. We said the opposite, and we got that from, or we derived that view from our technical assessment of Ethereum against Bitcoin and Ethereum in regards to dominance. Actually, it's very interesting now that we've had two Solana ETF filings and Sol BTC looks fantastic. When you're looking at technical analysis, you're essentially trying to spot the footprints in the sand. And that's what we try and do here on the channel. Also, once we've looked at that, we'll look at a basket of exchange-traded products for the cryptocurrency space, remind you of them. It's going to be a very important week in regards to economic data. As we have CPI coming out on Thursday, we're going to look at the expectations. We aren't in the higher rates camp. We're not in the strong dollar camp. We're in the weak dollar on yields coming down, rates ultimately coming down, and kind of everything doing well in regards or in line with sort of global liquidity cycles, so on and so forth. There's this kind of stall box, if you will, for the markets at the moment. A lot of uncertainty. The dollar still yet to make its direction up. There's really two paths ahead of it. We're on the path that the Dixie comes down and sees risk do well. But we are going to be looking at the data that's coming out this week. We will, of course, be diving into it all. Let's kick things off, ladies and gents, with CoinShares report, because this makes me very bullish on the cryptocurrency space. And we have currently been seeing quite a few weeks of outflow. So this is CoinShares Volume 190 Digital Asset Fund Flow Weekly Report. So recent price weakness likely seen as a buying opportunity with $441 million in inflows last week. So this looks at the previous week. You can see we had been going through 3 weeks of outflows, and this does seem to have turned. So digital asset investment products saw a total of $441 million, with recent price weakness prompted by Mt. Gox and the German government selling pressure, likely being seen as a buying opportunity. Now, the German government is still dumping Bitcoin. In fact, I think just 4 or 5 hours ago, there was news of this. We'll find that out for you. Bitcoin saw $398 million of the 441 million inflows, about 90%. But unusually represented just 90% of the total inflows as investors chose to invest across a much broader set of altcoins in the form of the ETPs. I am going to say this now. We're one of the only channels that is actually looking at exchange-traded products charts for crypto indexes and are deriving, and we don't derive our sole reason for being bullish on the markets as a result of that. We cover many reasons. We have this kind of macro take on things, and then we try and figure out where crypto is related within that. But when you look at cryptocurrencies technically, whether it's Bitcoin going to 151,000, whether it's Total 2 going to $3.8 trillion, whether it's the ETPs, whether it's Bitcoin miners. We've got some great Bitcoin miners in the Patreon, by the way, guys. Some real, 10 plus X stocks in regards to the cryptocurrency space. We've got things like TeraWolf that's been doing well for us recently. But when we look at ETPs or crypto altcoin indexes that are enabled by institutions and in the form of the ETPs, they look fantastic, and it helps us derive this bullish view on the overall market. And the fact that if you look at the flow of money that comes into crypto space, and we'll show you that on the charts, it goes GBTC or Bitcoin, which we got perfectly. It's made both our targets. GETH, which has made our target recently, and then altcoins. And that's the kind of flow of money. Bitcoin goes first, then the larger caps, and then it kind of trickles down. And we're seeing that in regards to adjustment and appetite for altcoins really coming to the forefront. So the improved sentiment has been reflected in blockchain equities, which saw a further $8 million in outflows last week. So, which is less than the dividend. Obviously, the main one coming out of Grayscale. This is in the form of GETH, and I think this is because people are taking money off the table now that that kind of discount has closed. There was also a discount for GBTC, which helped us kind of fundamentally be bullish on it. So lots of people are taking out of Ethereum's or Grayscale's Ethereum Trust and getting ready to position for the Ethereum ETF, basically, because there's a list of reasons to do it, like fees. If you look at inflows, obviously everything pretty green. Obviously, the main countries were Hong Kong saw huge inflows actually in regards to ETPs. Nowhere near the size of the United States. The United States is, everyone always talks about, well, why the United States? Well, it's the biggest fish in the global pond. So Bitcoin saw $398 million in inflows, but unusually represented just 90% of the total inflows as investors chose to invest across a broader set of altcoins, most notably of which Solana. Sol BTC, we made a video pretty much on that, is the most bullish looking altcoin against Bitcoin there is, period. I challenge anybody to find me a better looking chart than Sol BTC. Most notably of which was Solana, which saw $60 million, which is a lot for an ETP. Bringing year-to-date inflows to 57 million. So you can see over the past year, there's only been 57 million. 16 of them was last week. So people are positioning and buying Sol right now. Makes it the best performing altcoin from a flow perspective. Ethereum sentiment seems to have turned, seeing only $10 million. So Solana saw more inflows, and obviously there's been a lot of Ethereum outflows, which has sort of compounded this, than the likes of Ethereum. But remains the only ETP to have year-to-date net outflows. This is obviously because of the Ethereum ETF. This sentiment hasn't been reflected for blockchain equities, which saw a further $8 million of outflows last week, so on and so forth. So the interesting thing for us, this is our beautifully, correctly sort of done chart. We looked at this head and shoulders, which got met perfectly, and this broader one. And it's interesting, the flow of money that comes into space goes Bitcoin, Ethereum, altcoins. This is our Ethereum. And now we're looking at ETPs. Now, if ETPs look bullish, and we have a very high hit rate in regards to sort of technical accuracy, things don't always play out to the timelines that we want them to. We're seeing that of altcoins at the moment, but given enough time, we will be right. We're on the cusp, ladies and gentlemen, of one of the largest bull markets for the crypto space ever, and the macro environment aligns. But we'll talk about macro in just a second. I want to pivot onto the sort of German government news. So this is Grayscale Digital Large Cap Fund. This will make targets just like our GBTC and GETH made targets. And it already has made 2 targets for us thus far. Perfectly, in fact. One swallow does not a summer make. This is Bitwise Top 10 Crypto Fund. 21 shares. Crypto ETP. We've got things like Marathon. Everything walks, talks, quacks like a duck, points in the right direction, obviously coupled with where we think Bitcoin's going. And this has been also doing very well for us, and Total too. A little bit skeptical on we've now sort of ran or gone below the left shoulder, but this can still play out. It's not a, totally unavoids the head and shoulders when you get the right shoulder run the left. You just want to see that weaker right shoulder. It gives you kind of confidence that the pattern is going to play out. So what I want to do actually, and I didn't bring this up and I'm going to bring it up now, is show you the news in regards to the German government that are still dumping Bitcoin. The problem that crypto, and it's a very internal issue with the crypto space at the moment, because the cryptocurrency market, we've got literally our direction on the market's perfect in regards to where we thought the dollar was going. We'll talk about the dollar in just a second. In regards to what risk would do under that context, we've seen the stock market do well, we've seen gold do well, so on and so forth. Crypto will kind of buck that trend, if you will. It's not the decoupling we wanted. I think there eventually will be a kind of decoupling, but risk has always moved together. Sometimes you just get better performance than others. And actually, this is interesting when you look at BTC against gold or BTC against the SPY, which we were expecting a pullback against. We've had that. There will come a time now because Bitcoin is in an uptrend, and Total too, which is the altcoin market, against broader risk. Even Amazon, when you divide the Amazon charts. So we're looking for that sort of returning. So because of the low sort of volume in the cryptocurrency space, coupled with events like the German government being idiots and literally dumping on the market, which would make more sense for them to have gone and sort of done an OTC deal. They'd have got more bang for their buck, but who knows what the alternative reasoning is there behind them. And that's not a dig at any German people, by the way. Whenever I call out the German government, like I call out my own government and the US government, people always think it's a dig on the citizens of that country, which I don't think really even get represented by their government at this point. The government's role should always be to serve the people. We've gone so far from that at this point. We are their serfs. We're their kind of slaves, if you will. They don't serve us. I truly believe that. So the German government has transferred another 1,000 BTC, $55 million out in the last 15 minutes, and it continues. So Germany is still dumping. This is why I think crypto didn't do as well in a generally good time for risk, but its time will come. Let's talk now about, so very bullish on altcoins the week ahead. We have on Thursday US CPI, and we've got UK gross GDP. I'm not too fussed about that. And then we've got US PPI. So CPI is going to be the big one. The inflationary beast, in my opinion, has been slain. We haven't been in the ding-dong. The second wave of inflation is here, like the 1970s, because we don't think this is a 1970s-esque world. The expectation that we're looking at, the previous one was 3.3, we're looking at 3.1. I do think we're going to continue deflation. I think when we see that the dollar's going to roll, they are going to lower interest rates. They've been playing a game of chicken at the moment because the Fed doesn't want to lower interest rates because they know what it means for the dollar strength. The reason the dollar went up in the context of interest rates going up, even though other countries are doing the same thing, is because the debt markets are far larger, which means there's a bigger demand or a bigger bid for them. Interest rates will come down. This will drive the dollar, which should see risk do well. This aligns with global liquidity. I also think the Fed's going to step in and start buying up the bond market because they're going to have to support it when they're lowering interest rates, so i.e. the appeal of actually owning the debt. And I do think they're going to do that. They're already starting to sort of taper off QT. And then, of course, we know what the adverse side of this is for risk generally. Oil's another one that's sort of making its mind up. So stick to the plan, guys. You do, in my opinion, have one of the greatest bull markets of all time ahead of you. And it's still very much here. Altcoins taking a little bit longer, but when you look at cycles, we're in the perfect spot. We're in a very similar spot to what we've been beforehand. And the bulk of what's coming is still to come in regards to the market. And we get that, just looking at ETPs is a very kind of confirming factor. We've also spoken about Sol BTC. A number of things, we can go on and on and on. We don't just derive our reasons or our kind of view on the market from one thing. We derive it from a basket of things. And when something walks, talks, and quacks like a duck, it's a duck. Hang in there, guys. You're suffering from being a cryptocurrency investor, I believe, will be rewarded. We're very much doing what we've always done, and I think it's going to lead to a similar result. But this bull market is going to be far larger than any previously. I think we could get certainly well above $5 trillion in regards to the total market cap, potentially up to the 10s, 15s. We will see. I do think that dawn is upon us. So that's it from me, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back for another daily market update tomorrow, hopefully on time. But on that note, I'm going to love and leave you. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. I'll see you all in the next.